Hello, everyone. Welcome to the OpIndia podcast. Today, we have a very special guest who needs no introduction. He is generally the one asking questions rather vociferously, but today we've put him on the hot seat and he is going to be the one answering our questions. Hi, Arnab sir. Thank you so much
Hey,
for joining us.
how are you, Nupur?
I'm fine, sir. Sir, today I've been given a challenge to ensure that you do not speak for at least 3 minutes in a row. So somewhere in between, I'm going to ask you a very, very long question.
You have a timer there?
No, I'm just going to wing it.
Central timing. Okay. Oh,
So thank you for joining us, sir. You finally agreed to do this after me hounding you for, I think, what, 4, 5 months?
yes,
So
yes.
congratulations, firstly. Republic TV is now the number one channel in the country. It has surpassed all other channels in the English language segment and all channels in the Hindi language segment. So now Republic TV and Republic Bharat are the number one channels, and by all account, you are the number one anchor and journalist in India. So, sir, can you just tell us what really made you shift from Times Now and start Republic in the first place?
What made me shift from Times Now? Now, you know, Nupur, that I have not in the past spoken about such matters. I've kept the focus completely on my work and what I'm doing. But since you asked me a very pointed question, I had a great news at Times Now. I set up the channel. I was part of the team that raised funds for the channel. We got investment from Reuters. We traveled to New York and London. We got the funding. We we located the property. We went to an empty shell of a building. We built it. We bought the cameras, the equipment. I mean, what I'm trying to say is that Times Now was built literally from scratch, from zero, from a business plan, right upwards to becoming the number one channel. So why would I leave it? Uh, because I was not comfortable. Because I realized the time has come when I cannot take instructions. And you should go with your gut instinct. My whole life I've gone with my gut feeling. I felt that uh, I could no longer be free. As free, you see, being free is a relative thing. Some people say that they are constrained but relatively free. So it's okay. I was I was not absolutely free. And I felt that with what we had achieved at Times Now, me and my team should now be absolutely free. See, Nupur, I'm not talking about me alone. I'm talking about my team. I'm talking about a sort of a belief system which we had that we should walk in and do what the hell we want. We should walk in and leave the newsroom and enter the newsroom and not have to look over our shoulder. We should also not have to explain anything. You can't explain why you're doing it. So, if you waste your time explaining, it will take your focus away from what you need to do. And
So,
so,
what were the kind of restraints that there were in any previous channel? I will not name Times Now alone, but you were working with NDTV also before Times Now.
hmm,
So, what are the kind of restraints today that a journalist might face?
might
Let's
face.
put it that way, in any of these other channels, which are presumably and historically left leaning.
No, see, I mean, they are not left leaning. Please don't think that, please don't, the Marxist philosophy is too deep. And however controversial, some people may not find it acceptable. But people who have not read Marx or Lenin cannot claim to be leftist. I would like to know how many people in NDTV have either read Marx, Lenin, or Engels or any. I have, because I'm a serious student of sociology. How many people have read the originals? How can they claim to be leftist? So let's not abuse the term leftist there. Pseudo leftist, possible. Pretend leftist, possible. Uh, but don't abuse the term leftist. As far as going back to your question now, you said, what were the constraints? I don't want to go into the specific constraint, but I had earned my spurs. I'd earned, and I thought I deserved complete and absolute freedom. And whenever I feel there was no complete and absolute freedom, I felt that I could not continue. And so I also asked myself a very straight question, Nupur, that what will give me complete and absolute freedom? And truth be told, the only answer was that if you own your own organization. I came to realize that ownership means freedom, which means I'm not answerable anymore. And so I worked hard to try and build and own my own organization. And therefore, today, I can both take responsibility and accountability for all my actions.
So I've heard that when Republic started earlier, its valuation was about somewhere between 4 to 450 crores. Today, before Republic Bharat became number one, surpassing Aaj Tak, the valuation stood at 1,200 crores. Presumably, after surpassing Aaj Tak, the valuation would have shot up.
Hmm.
Can you define the journey from when you started Republic and later Republic Bharat, but you first started Republic, and to a point now where you are the owner of the channel, you are virtually debt free. At least there are no controlling stakes in your company. You have an employee base of over 1,000 people, and it's probably a feat which very few journalists would have hoped to accomplish, and you have. So, could you define the journey from a starting valuation of 400 crores to a valuation of probably over 1,500 crores after you've surpassed Aaj Tak?
Okay, so there's a financial and there's a brand aspect of this. The financial aspect of it is broadly the numbers that you put are correct. Some people say that we should take Republic to the stock markets and put it on an IPO. Maybe I will in the future. But so I can't give you an exact valuation right now, what it is after achieving what it has. Probably the numbers are in the zone that you speak, if not a little higher. Biggest valuation for me is the brand of Republic. I believe that the large part of the people believe in me. And I'm not in this for the money. Nopur, I take a salary less than what I got in times now. So I'm not in this for the money. It doesn't matter tomorrow if it's worth 50,000 crores, doesn't matter because I lead the same life. So nothing has changed for me. I'm not in this for the money. But yes, I am in this because I want to control my own organization. And I think it is a matter of pride for all journalists that a fellow journalist today runs, manages, anchors, and owns the largest news organization in the country. For people in Lutyens who have a problem with that, who would you rather have? Who would you rather have? I don't want to be disrespectful. But would you rather have a person with no experience in journalism, reporting, production, anchoring, or news media to own a news organization? They are very happy if they are there. They are very happy if someone who has no experience, who has not come from the roots, who has not struggled, who has not fought his way through, they are very happy if those people own news organizations. Because those people have inherited those organizations. And so they spend their time socializing in Delhi. If a socialite owns a large newspaper, they're perfectly okay. The same Latvian circle of Delhi are perfectly okay. They'll never question why the socialite who has no experience in journalism is running a news organization, no academic or professional experience. They're completely okay if some people who say that, the greatest achievement of a newspaper owner should be to find out what company car his employee editor is getting. If a newspaper owner tries to devise new ways to make sure and tell people every day that journalists don't matter, that journalists are nothing, we can run the organization without journalists. They're completely okay with those people. They have a problem with me. So for me, my brand value, Nupur, brand value, is not the financial value. It is the love that people have for our organization, which is hard fought, which is hard won, and which we do work very hard to maintain every day. So yes, valuations will come and go. I have investors in my organization. They are happy with me, and we give them returns. It's a very fiduciary responsibility and a fiduciary relationship that we share with them.
So, you said that your brand matters to you more than the valuation ever could. However, your brand means very different things to a lot of different people. To people who support you and to the people who like you and they watch Republic, it means that it is a channel that will pick up an issue and ensure that it reaches its logical conclusion, often subjects and issues which other channels might not pick up, like the Sushant Singh Rajput case,
Hmm.
or the n number of cases that you've picked up earlier, even the Shashi Tharoor case, if I might say so, because no other channel was really willing to go after him.
Yeah.
For others who are your critics, they say that Republic is brand Arnab. So without Arnab, there is no Republic, and without you on prime time, there is no Republic. Essentially, it's a one-man show, and you do not want other faces to sort of shine and come up in your brand. To another section of people, it's loud journalism, which misses nuances a lot of times. So, to you, what is the brand? And what would you say to those who have these set of criticisms for brand Republic and brand Arnab?
So I'll tell you the let me be very specific in my response. You said that the accusation is that Brand Republic is brand Arnab, then there is nobody else who is there. That is the question, right? That is the biggest accusation. Okay. Now, therefore, I'll tell you, I do a 7 o'clock show, but before my 7 o'clock show, there is a wonderful anchor called Sucharita Kukreti. And after my show finishes in Hindi, there's another great anchor called Aishwarya Kapoor. Okay, now let's examine this. Sucharita Kukreti is way ahead of Aaj Tak at the 6 to 7 p.m. slot. She's exceptionally good and gifted, and she's very popular. Her ratings are way above Aaj Tak. People wait to watch her show, which is called Mahabharat. Okay, so that's a distinct viewership. After my show, Aishwarya comes. Aishwarya is a fantastic. His show is right now number 2 on the slot. Khabar Badi hai. Then at 9 o'clock, there is a person called Vikas. Vikas is from Kanpur. He used to be a reporter in Kanpur, and today his ratings are way above all these traditional Rajat Sharma and all these people at the 9 o'clock slot. So the point is, are these people not being followed? Do they not have their mass viewership? Yeah, they do. If somebody chooses not to look at it, it's their personal, professional frustration. See, the fact is that a lot of people come up over a period of time and a lot of people shine. In our organization, we have the most recognizable anchors across the Hindi and English spectrum today. Rhythm Anand Bhardwaj, executive editor of the Republic Media Network, anchors an 8 p.m. slot, is the most sought after journalist, not for a legal political acumen also. Right? Abhishek Kapoor, our senior executive editor, does his own show. So we have a lot of faces and names. Gaurav Arya. Gaurav Arya's show Patriot is a chart buster. All these people have grown, have done well, and have proven their talent under the overall guidance of the Republic Media Network. So I completely deny that accusation that there are no other faces. After all, I anchor for 1 hour on Hindi and 1.5 to 2 hours on English. What about the rest of the 22, 23 hours? I'm not sitting on television every day. Yeah, the fact that I have been around for longer makes me more recognizable, but that's a function of time. In 5, 6 years, there will be others who will be ahead of me. So I deny that accusation. And what was your second charge?
That your brand of journalism basically is loud journalism, which misses the nuances, and you stick with one subject for too long.
Yes, I it is loud, so I can't help it. I don't believe in being soft and artificial and putting up an act. I am the hypocrisy of the people who put the accusations of loudness on me. I was saying the other day, if my biggest crime is that I'm loud, huh? Then what when they do a PR interview of accused number one? When they do a PR interview of accused number one where they're giving thumbs up to accused number one, you see this whole Sushant case, Nupur, it has melted the mask of Lutyens and a very influential vested lobby. And if you see it, I will put a counter question to people who say that I am loud and I push a case for too long. Yes, I will. I will push a case for too long because I believe that unless I push a case for too long, there will be no justice for Sushant. What is your problem? What is your problem if I push a case for too long? It's my channel, my network. I'll do what the hell I want. What is your problem? People are watching me. What is your problem? Your problem is that people are watching me. Why don't these hypocrites go on television and say that our basic problem is that people are watching Republic? They say, why are you doing a case for too long? I'll do it. People are watching me, no? You do what you make people watch. If I had not done it for too long, should I do it for one day? Let me ask them one thing. The media partnership they had with Shaheen Bagh, did they do it for too long? The person, why the hell are you blocking the road? Did I tell them why are you doing it for too long? Did I tell them why are you making fools of yourself by going there and not telling the truth of what happened in Jamia? Did I tell them why are you doing it for too long when you should speak the truth? Why were the people who went into the library at Jamia wearing masks? Did I ask them why are you speaking lies for too long? Why are you doing poetry? At 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock slots, they were doing poetry, justifying the worst violation of human rights of the people of a city who couldn't move because of Shaheen Bagh. We had the overall shadow of a possible riot over us. The country was on tenterhooks. We kept saying a riot will happen and it happened. Did I tell them then why are you doing it for too long? I hold these people responsible for the riot. These media channels are responsible for the riot which you, Nupur, are now investigating. And in my book, doing a riot and supporting a riot are the same thing. So who are these people to ask me questions of why I am doing it for too long? So here's my answer to you. I am doing it for too long because I believe in it. At least whatever I do, I believe in. I did Commonwealth Games scam. At that time also, Nupur, these same people came out and said, why are you doing it for too long? And they used to call me, तरीका है ये journalism है, ये तरीका है, ऐसे सवाल पूछे जाते हैं. So how should I ask questions? The same people who today, do coquettish interviews with accused number one, also did coquettish interviews with Suresh Kalmadi, in which the only breaking news was, and the super explosive question was, sir, so many accusations are being put against you. Are they correct? Is it possible? And Suresh Kalmadi triumphantly said, absolutely not. And the breaking news they carried was, Suresh Kalmadi denies all charges. The people who do coquettish interviews with scamsters and accused have no moral right to ask me why I am doing things for too long. I am doing things for too long because I believe unless you expose a wrong for too long, nobody listens to you in this country. If we had not done it for too long, the India Against Corruption movement would not have happened. The India Against Corruption movement
But sir,
because we did it for a very long period of time, and I'll take 30 seconds, we sustained it despite the criticism, the attack, and these people formed cabals. The Latvians media went. Let them ask. I want to ask them, is it true or not, Latvians media, that you went to Delhi to complain to the Information and Broadcasting Minister about me at that point of time? Shame on you. Shame on you. You had no courage, no spine. You owners and editors, at the time when I was fighting corruption, you all went to the Information and Broadcasting Minister, and one of the Mir Jafars who was in the meeting came out and told me and said, there's a meeting going on. I said, what's happening in the meeting? They said, well, in the meeting, the biggest point of conversation is you, because the minister is shouting about why the media is putting pressure on us. And then one of the editors there, who is the editor of a business paper, told the Minister for Information and Broadcasting, but it is the boy in Mumbai who is doing all this. Shall we, Mr. Minister, bring you his head on a plate? This was told to me. They said, shall we, Mr. Minister, bring his head to you on a plate? These are the spineless editors of Latvians whose problem is now that more people are watching Republic. Well, they will, because all of you cheated and lied to the people of India for too long.
So the Latvians journalists generally seem to toe the line of the establishment. I'm not saying the government, I'm saying the establishment, which is basically spearheaded by the Congress and left parties and activists and academicians who espouse every issue which is not in the favor of India. However, there is also a case to be made which says that media trials can be rather detrimental to any case. For example, in the Sushant Singh Rajput case, we are functioning under the assumption that Riya Chakravarti might be guilty. However, if in the next 6 months or 1 year, the investigation finds that she's innocent, the media trial would have, hurt her reputation in a way which cannot be
So
recovered.
why are people so
The
concerned
same.
about Riya? No, I want to
So,
ask
so
you,
one second,
why
one
are
second.
people
No,
getting so
one second, I'm
sensitive
going to
about Riya?
interview. I'm going to interrupt you. And this is going to be one of the highlights of the show, that I managed to interrupt you. But the same can be said about a lot of past cases as well. For example, the Rohtak case, where the media believed that one person was guilty, the man was guilty. However, later it was found that the woman was making things up and the man was innocent. So the case which is being made now basically says that media trials can potentially damage people beyond redemption, even before the investigation is completed. So what
Yeah,
would you say about that, sir?
I don't care. I am not here to explain now, but since you've asked me, frankly, between you and me, I don't care. There will be a lot of people out there who have nothing to do, who will pick up one Rohtak case and deny a million other cases. Okay. So, what is my view of journalism? It is a general battle between right and wrong. Do we make mistakes? Yeah, probably we did. Probably 1 out of 1 million cases, everybody can make mistakes. But let me ask you, if it were not for a media trial that championed the voices of the justice for the people of India, would we have had the accused behind bars and a new law for rape for Nirbhaya? If it had not been for a media trial, would the Jessica Lal case be reopened? You know the influential people in Delhi. And in fact, I feel guilty. I tell Neelam Krishnamurthy every day that because we didn't do a media trial, Neelam, I was a reporter. I did not have the power to go after the Ansals. You see, I didn't have the power. How much did NDTV fight in the Ubhar case? I'm naming. How much did Latvians media fight for the Ubhar case? Did they fight to the finish? And if they had fought to the finish, would Neelam Krishnamurthy and others in the Ubhar case not have got complete justice? You see, Nupur, the same people who are talking about media trial did nothing for Nitish Katara. Nothing for Nitish Katara. When Vikas Yadav and his cousin Vishal Yadav were accused of abducting and murdering Nitish Katara, who refused to be cowed down by the connections of criminals and ensured that the case was not shunned to a corner, why were they not doing media trials? They should have done media trials for Sunanda Pushkar also. When all the evidence was before them, that the area had been tampered with, the body had been dressed up, the whole evidence had been in Leela had been covered up. Why did they not do media trials then? Why did they not do media trials? when in Bihar, MLC Manorama Demi's son Rocky sprayed bullets on a car in which there was an 18-year-old Aditya Sachdev. Rocky Yadav case. If it had not been for the media trial, I was in Times Now. Let these hypocrites go and ask. Let these hypocrites go and ask. They dare to question my professional background. Wouldn't Rocky Yadav have continued to be a free man? What did these people do? Did they even fight for Varnika Kundu? And they ask me that you not ask people of one political party question. Well, Vikas Barala is a topmost BJP leader of Haryana. He went into hiding. I forced him into hiding. Vikas Barala is the son of the BJP leader. He was stalking Varnika Gundu on the streets of Chandigarh. Why did these people not do a media trial? You want to know why? Because these people have a cozy nexus, Nupur. A cozy nexus. Bureaucrats, police officers, media, right? Some lawyers and politicians live and let live. In each city of the country, they formed a Gymkhana society. And what do they want to do? They want to say, oh no, in 1 out of the million cases you did, you may not have been completely correct. Fine. At least I'm taking responsibility. I'm doing what I can. And how dare these people try to gag me in the Sushant case? Nupur, I will also see how they stop me. These people are planning. We'll go to court. We'll do this. We'll make Riya Chakrabarti, co-signatory to our petition. We will say that Republic should stop reporting the SSR case. I'm putting out counter evidence in a case which was whitewashed as suicide. I'm asking everybody watching me today, was this case not whitewashed as suicide? I put counter evidence. I put the responsibility back and I worked hard. I deployed all my resources to find the leads. I pushed, I pressurized, I screamed, I shouted, I reported, I put evidence, I put counter evidence, I connected the dots, and I ensured that the case went up to the CBI. Now, if in the process I've done a media trial, I'm very happy I've done one. I will go to the highest court of the country and fight for my rights to do what they call is a media trial. That's their subjective opinion. Their subjective opinion is not based off of professional reasoning. Their subjective opinion is based on bias, prejudice, jealousy, and hatred, and professional envy. They have no right to question me on the issues of a media trial. They are hypocrites, all of them. None of them can see me eye to eye, Nupur. None of them have the guts. When I meet them, they can't even look at me in the eye. I don't go to Delhi. I don't go to Delhi, but when I go sometimes, once a year or twice a year, when I've seen, I don't go to these banquets and parties, but when I go, I always believe in body language. None of the people can see me eye to eye. At least today, Nupur, I walk with my head held high. I have nothing to hide. I have no skeletons. I've sought no favors. I've given none. That's my life. You call it a media trial. I believe what I'm doing, you call it a media trial. It's for the public good. It's for the people's good. I will do a media trial. I intend to do one more media trial for the PMC bank victims. I'm doing it now. Stop me. Sahakari Bank, there was one bank in Bangalore. Most of the people are senior citizens. Lost all their money, Nupur. Do these pseudos who sit in Bangalore also, there are some pseudos who, do they ever ask themselves why they don't ask questions in these cases? Because the people running and managing the banks are their political friends. Their friends are doing the scams. They're going to question me about the media trial.
So, media trials, do you think in the media today there have been ideological lines which have been drawn, basically? And because of those ideological lines, there are issues which are basically, it's acceptable in certain issues for media trials to be done, and in certain issues, the media trial is unacceptable, and therefore this criticism becomes slightly hypocritical. So how would you explain this ideological battle lines that have been drawn within the media? I haven't been in the media for that long, but was it always the case? You were first with NDTV, you were then with Times, now you own Republic. Was the ideological divide always the case in the media?
Ideological nahi hai, Nupur. That ideological thing is a lie. The real fact is this. This is my view. It may be a subjective view, but I'm telling you. I entered around 96, okay? Delhi. I stayed till 2004, 2004, 5. Right? So I'd spent about 9 years in Delhi. Before that, I spent 1 year in Calcutta, and then I came to Bombay. So my feeling is that firstly, it is about self-interest and self-preservation, not ideology. These people are very slippery characters. Ideology they will change in a minute. Do you think they are not trying to change their ideology since Modi came? Or at least pretend to. They don't have an ideology. Can you hear me, Nupur? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. We can hear you.
Nupur, I am saying it's not about an ideology. It is about self-preservation and self-interest. And they don't have any ideology. The problem is, after Mr. Modi became Prime Minister, they've not got entry into a club that they were life members of. Can you hear me, Nupur? Hmm.
I
They
can
were
hear you,
life
sir.
they
Just
were
trying to
life members of a club called the Super Elite of Delhi. Now they are dinosaurs outside that club. They are not getting any more entry. So it has nothing to do with ideology. Anybody who's telling you we have an ideological issue, is lying, is an absolute liar. The problem is they are self-preservationists who have not got entry into uh, the present power corridors of Delhi. And because I believe that the people who are running the power corridors of Delhi have contempt for them, because and that's why they've not got entry into it, and also because the system of favors has gone, Nupur. You see, there is a very established system of favors. I'm not talking about a free flight ticket on a prime ministerial flight. Those are symbolic. Access, privilege, access, the ability for editors in chief, owners to walk in, recommend people, you know, come in to talk about politics, but quietly bring an industrialist friend and say, Iska kaam kara dena. There are people who used to flaunt it. And I'm not talking only about people seem to be pro anti BJP. I'm talking even people who construed themselves, positioned themselves as pro BJP in the hope and expectation. When the government changes, we will now start doing the same thing with more ferocity in this regime. This regime has not allowed them. So they are frustrated. They're completely frustrated. Money is not coming, access is not coming, privilege is not coming. They can no longer, have these people at their beck and call. The Congress regime ministers were at beck and call, and there was a very easy, comfortable relationship built between them. You see, the relationship is gone. So I believe that the ideological thing, what you should, maybe all the people on OpIndia who are listening to this should understand that while ideology is very important, these people have no ideological bent. I have an ideological bent because I will never do anything against national interest. These people cannot even claim that. They are followers of Burhan Wani. They are followers of the Tukre Tukre gang. They are followers of people who abuse India. They abuse the notions of freedom of expression, which are given in the constitution. So I believe these are very slippery characters, you know, and mostly in Delhi, but there are enough of these people in Bombay and other places as well. It's absolutely not ideological.
But so I'm going to play the devil's advocate with you. So it is said that the old Latvian system, which basically used to curry favors with the Congress party mainly, has been replaced with a new Latvian system, which might not be in Latvian's Delhi, but it is a new Latvian system where access journalism has shifted from the loyalists of the Congress to the so called loyalists of the BJP, or people who are seen ideologically closer to BJP than Congress.
Right.
And obviously, we talk about people like you. I'm talking about even people like me, even though I'm not in the same league, but even people like me. Now, I can speak for myself separately, but what would you say to those people who say that an old Latvian system has been replaced with a new access
No, but
journalism system and new
explain.
ecosystem?
Good. I got
Yeah.
the point. Let's talk about me because I can only talk about myself. Their accusation is that they were the. So I want to describe my life. I live in a beautiful part of Mumbai called Lower Parel. I live in a house on which I'm paying an EMI, and I will for the next 10 years. Okay. I go to my studio. I run my organization. Now, I want proof. that if the accusation against me, I'll only speak for myself, is, and I'm throwing an open challenge here on your program, if the challenge is that the success of the Republic Media Network, the reason it has replaced all these dinosaurs as India's number one digital and television news network is because Arnab has been a beneficiary of a system. You are here, you not only play devil's advocate, you ask me anything you want, open up to your viewers. I am saying that please show the proof of one benefit I have got. One benefit I have got, I will respond right here, right now. One benefit I have got, because I believe in my own subjective opinion that whatever I have achieved is a product of relentless hard work, focus, determination to succeed, putting your heart out every day, anchoring for 20 hours a week, building a team, understanding the business dynamics, having innumerable business and editorial meetings every day, focusing my energies on a distribution of the network, building national and international contacts which have allowed me to take my network across the world, and a fierce determination to be the number one network for the next 100 years in this country. This is my belief about myself. Now, if there are people who have professional jealousy, I want them to produce any proof against me. It has to be substantiated. It can't be, oh, we think.
Right. So one of the reasons they put forth is that you've become, of course, you have become the number one channel with a valuation of over 1,200 crores officially. One of the accusations that they do put, and they seem to believe that they have proof for it, is that there are BJP people who have invested in your channel, and that Republic would not have even started had it not been for the patronage and investment of BJP leaders.
No,
That
name
is what they use.
Which BJP leader?
I'm presuming they're talking about Mr. Rajiv Chandrasekhar, because he did have a stake.
I'll answer this question. Anything else?
I suppose not.
So here's the thing. Asianet News Network invested when Republic started, and its maximum ownership it ever reached through that investment was 15%, 15 to 16% equity. Okay? Who controlled the 85% equity from day one of the launch of the network? Yours truly. Okay? Now, in Delhi, there is an organization I will not name whose almost 50% equity is in the name of a major corporate. I control 85% equity, but I'm not the owner of Republic. Somebody who controls 50% equity, somebody who controls 20% equity, somebody who controls 5% equity, somebody whose entire equity is pledged, and somebody else who is the front for equity but whose equity is held back in further pledges that they have made to a big corporate. They are all owners. But Arnab Goswami, who controls 85% equity from day one in his organization, is not an owner. Rubbish. So Asianet News Network invested. It was a financial investment. And proof of that investment is the fact that when Rajiv exited, he got a fantastic exit. Which means that in commercial terms, Asianet News Network made many multiples of its investment. They still hold very small 5-6% equity, maybe 5% to 6%, I think now. Right? Who controls the rest? Me. Which means, Nupur, today I'm controlling about 90% equity in my organization. Which media owner in India or in the world today, which journalist, I want to ask you, which journalist, which media owner controls and owns 90%, close to controls 90% equity and owns a little less of his own media organization and gives fantastic returns to investors? You've spoken about the investment, which means if it was 400 crores, it's gone up 3 times. I've not made the money, my investors have. I'm happy for it. Rajiv through Asianet made a good investment and got a fantastic exit. There is no hidden transaction here. And the day Rajiv formally joined the BJP, remember, he left the board of directors. He's never come back. Today, there's no external board of director. I control the entire shareholding of my organization and the ownership. So what is this rubbish? What is this rubbish? There is no hanky panking. There's no deal. So you guys can keep looking. Fact is, it's the cleanest, squeaky clean organization with the best set of corporate leaders. We have proven that journalists can run and own good organization, that top management professionals can work for me. Today, people who've been in top management positions at Star, at Bennett Coleman are all leaving those jobs and working for me from the management and business side. Right? And all my ownership is there. So where is the BJP angle in this? I don't understand. It is their professional frustration and their jealousy. See, they must understand that I have learned the running of a news organization. They don't. Taking one mic and saying you do mobile journalism does not teach you how to run a news organization. I have run and managed a news organization because I've understood that for a journalist to be free, he has to run and own and manage an organization. That a journalist will be free when he knows the bottom line, the top line, the EBITDA and the PAT of the organization, when he pays advance tax, when he knows where the lease comes from, when he knows where the camera is bought. I worked hard on it. Nupur, I know every screw in my organization where it goes because I work hard. I'm from a middle class background. I bring the middle class values in the running of an organization. I will show you pictures today. And you will have to put it up on your website. I will show you that when I went, they said I was mad when I left Times, right? I went across, I took a mill, Nupur. I will show you pictures of a mill, devastated, not used for 50 years. Not a cow or a dog would come into that mill. And I built it from scratch. I stood there with my team. We laid the bricks. We stood there every day. And we raised the pillars. And I will show you one picture. You will have to put it up. With my entire editorial team is holding a piece of glass. When the glass was being put in the studio, it was so big and large. 40 people were holding a piece of glass and saying, "ये गिर जाएगा तो मर जाएंगे, मगर इसको लगा के रहेंगे क्योंकि चैनल लॉन्च करना है." हिम्मत थी, हिम्मत है. ये हिम्मत प्रोफेशनल फोकस से आती है. This himmat, I have sat. Yes, people say I'm into the business side. I am. Every day and night I sit. I look at my Excel sheet. I know where the money is going, where the money is taking. But you know what, Nupur? I have not laid off a single person in the time of COVID. I have given my business team bonuses. I am working towards giving my team increments next month. These are my values. You can ask people who work for me. I provide transport door to door for every person working in the organization. When people were cutting costs, I was spending, saying on my people's welfare. So, you know what, Nupur? The fact is, I'm giving you a long answer. They have nothing against me. They are frustrated because I've relentlessly worked with my team, not alone, my team. There is a group of people in Republic. There are about 30, 40 people, the super core team. You know, Nupur, our edit meetings, you were with me last night. Did I not tell you at 12:30 in the night that I have to do an edit meeting? 12:30 in the morning, was I not doing my edit meetings these days end at 2:30, 3 o'clock? Finally, we tell people on the call how many have slept and how many people are awake. But I work and I get up at 9 o'clock every morning. Between 9 and 10, I have called 10 of my sources because I'm racing against my team. I'm saying, "Ghar baithe main news le aunga tumhare liye." So I'm working. I'm not flailing my hands about. I'm not going for foreign holidays. I'm not doing that stuff. I'm working. And then they say media trial, this, that, what rubbish. My ownership is clean. Today, I'll tell you one thing. You ask Rajiv, even after the exit, Rajiv's a damn good friend. You know what? And till date, he and I don't talk business. Don't talk business. The business conversation that happened even when Rajiv was leaving Republic was between my legal and corporate team and his legal and corporate team. We never talk. You ask him, we never talk. Okay, we gossip, we talk like friends. We never talk business. So you know what? Any of my investors are fantastic people. There are doctors, professionals. There's a friend of mine who lived with me, Nupur. This guy lived with me he built his own company and he sold it. He's seen my struggle. He's seen days when I was worried I'll lose my job. So this guy, when I started, he said, "Oh no, here is some money from me. This is my hard-earned money. I want you to keep it." So these are the kind of people I have. I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of it. And
So,
I
other than the minuscule percentage of shareholding that Rajiv Chandrasekhar still has, there is no investment by any BJP leader. So the
absolutely
next,
not.
yeah. So the next
How
question is,
absolutely not. Absolutely not. And Rajiv's investment is a very now 5-6% investment which is left, and that investment is Asianet News Network, right?
so somebody was in the
I'm proud of
comments.
all my investors, by the way. I'm proud of each one of them. Even if
Sorry,
they hold point, I'm proud of every one of my
right,
investors. Those who hold
right.
0.5%, 0.1%, I'm proud of them. I'm grateful to them. I thank them. And as you
So
rightly said, my company is virtually debt free because you know what? When we started our Hindi channel, we started with very little capital expenditure because we said that जो भी पैसा हमारे पास है, छोटा सा पैसा, we will use it in paying good salaries to people. We will use it to build a better office with whatever our constraints. So we put all our money in distribution and editorial.
So there was one of the questions in the comment section when we were talking about you being either pro BJP or the investments in your firm which come from BJP. That why do you think a Sushant Singh Rajput case is more important than talking about the flailing economy? Is it because you think that talking about the Sushant Singh Rajput case would help you go after the Congress and not talking about the economy would help you
क्या
achieve?
rubbish है, I'll tell you one thing, Nupur. What
This is one
economy?
of the
Have
questions.
you seen? No, no. What economy? What I really want to understand. What is this flailing economy? Rubbish, garbage that uneducated people are putting out. Why don't they study? Why don't they read? The problem with most of these people is they have no research or academic background. Are Singapore's economy has fallen by 43%. Singapore. These people embarrass themselves no end. Singapore's economy is 43%. Where is our crash? Compared to Singapore, we are soaring. Canada's economy is over 35% down because of COVID. These fools, these illiterates, I'm sorry to say, I want to know what they are smoking. I don't want to know. I don't want to know as much what Riya
No,
Chakrabarti is smoking, but I
no,
want to know what they are smoking.
this is going to be another meme. There's this meme where you're saying "Mujhe drugs do." I think.
What mujhe drugs?
Have you been sent that meme where there is a short clip of you saying "Mujhe drugs do, mujhe drugs do"?
Mujhe drugs ho.
Yes.
This is my worst addiction. One cup of coffee every day.
No, I think that is you were on television, and I think you were covering the Sushant Singh Rajput case, and there is this
I
segment
said
where
mujhe drugs ho.
yeah, there is a segment where
And
you were talking about Riya Chakravarti, I think, and her WhatsApp chats, and you said "Mujhe drugs do, mujhe charas do, mujhe ganja do, mujhe ye do." So I think you you were trying to.
I was not saying mujhe drugs though. See, another case where these, I mean, I want to be very elegant when I'm speaking to you. But I want to tell you one thing, that if I am saying that Riya Chakrabarti's WhatsApp messages exchanged with drug peddlers mention drugs, and she's saying that mujhe drugs though, now some malicious soul can edit that part out to give themselves 6 seconds of content, which proves my point. I feel, I really feel so much empathy for these people that they don't get, nobody watches them, so they have to cut 5-second clips of Arnab to get some traction. I hope they are getting traction, but they should pay me royalty also.
So, do you think this happens because you do have a slight language barrier as far as Hindi is concerned? That's actually
Yeah.
another question. How did you manage to learn Hindi so quickly? Because I remember I spoke to you before Republic Bharat, and it was frankly rather atrocious.
Frightening.
So,
It
how
was
did you manage
frightening.
to
It was frightening.
Yeah, it was
It was
atrocious. How did you manage
and
to learn it?
something that what happens is that because you're the boss and in the office nobody wants to laugh at you. So we were discussing who should do what slot, and I thought that my team told me, boss, आपको 2 घंटा करना है. Shamsher Singh was the editor of the English channel, very nice to me. सर आपको 2 घंटा करना है. ऐसे शमशेर क्यों क्यों लोगों पे ये कर रहे हो? मुझे हिंदी बोलनी नहीं आती ठीक से. नहीं नहीं आप बोल लो ये वो यू शुड एंकर. सो मैंने बोला मैं क्या करूं. सो माय टीम ऑल केम टुगेदर बिफोर द लॉन्च. शी सेड आप एक काम करो, आपको जो मन में आए बोलो, बट हर 10 मिनट पे आप बोलते रहना कि मुझे हिंदी नहीं आती. एंड देन एंड देन आई एडेड वन लाइन टू दैट. आई सेड मुझे हिंदी तो आती नहीं है मगर मेरी नीयत साफ है. मेरी हिंदी साफ नहीं, मेरी नीयत साफ है, व्हिच इज ट्रू. आई एम नॉट करप्ट, है ना नूपुर. I don't do deals. I don't take industrialists to the Ministry of Finance. So मैं तो वो सब नहीं करता. मेरी नीयत साफ है. तो मैंने line, I used the line. It worked. But now my Hindi is coming back because in my memory there is Hindi. You see, Nupur, I grew up. I'm an army officer's son. I grew up in Jodhpur, Jabalpur, Pune, Shillong, Delhi. So I studied at Hindu College, Delhi. I was in the hostel. I lived in a place called Bhai Parmanand Colony behind Delhi University. So I'm a fully heartbred Hindi heartland guy. But I'm Assamese. Assamese guy from with the Hindi heartland background. So the whole memory started coming back. And nowadays what happens is that in the flow of the discussion, in the flow of the news, okay, you in the flow of the news, okay, you're thinking in English, wanting to translate in Hindi. You get my point?
Yeah.
Thinking in English, translating in English, and you can't do a Google Translate live on a debate. So I make mistakes. ठीक है. But people are still watching me, and people are watching me, and they believe in us. No, Nupur, they actually believe in us. So इतने लोगों ने phone किया, and segments of audiences we were not reaching, and people who, because of English, there was still a barrier. Now I feel so happy, so blessed, so proud that audience is reaching us, and a sense of feeling is that, boss, I should have done Hindi earlier.
So, are you open to changing your mind on certain issues? Because, and this was my personal, this is actually my personal question to you. It's not an audience question, or it's not a question from your critics. As far as the Sabrimala case was concerned, I felt that the stand was somehow missing the key arguments which people who were in favor of the tradition were making. So, I'm going to ask you this. Are you willing to change your stand on an issue?
No, I'm not. Because my beliefs, Nupur, are not based on religion, religious dogmatism. Because क्या होता है that what we consider dogma depends upon our personal preference and bias. Yeah. So on that, I will have a slight disagreement with you that what I am not beholden to follow any line. I will follow a line if it is right, and I will fight it to the death. Like Palghar. I believe what happened in Palghar was the hypocrisy of the group of people who never spoke for it. All these Shabana Azmi, Nandita Das, all these people never spoke for Palghar. Why? Because the persons who were killed were Hindu and sadhus. They deserve to be killed. Or because they were traveling through an ultra-Maoist heartland, they deserve to be killed. So I picked up the issue. My belief. Okay. Sabrimala, somewhere I don't agree. And with all respect to people, I don't agree because maybe I'm emotionally vested in it. Nupur. Can I tell you why?
Yeah.
This part I've not told you, but my first outstation reporting was Sabrimala in my life. So Appan Menon was the. So I'll tell you, Isme, sometimes your early formative years, your professional experiences impact you. So I was about 20, early 20s, and I took a camera and I went to. I was sent by Appan to cover the story of Sabrimala. And the story was that for NDTV, that a woman district magistrate was in Pathinamthitta, and she was doing work for people going to Sabrimala, and she was not being allowed herself. So, and all she said was, I want to supervise, because sometimes accidents happen, pilgrims are not taken. She wanted to supervise. She was not being allowed. So it stayed with me. I reported it stayed with me. It impacted me. One. And I remember going up to Sabrimala, and Nupur, I was taken by the chief priest or somebody before the pilgrims came in. I remember going up and climbing on top of one of the walls with my camera person called Mohan, because they said that the most beautiful shot that you can get is when, in the early hours of dawn, the first glimpse of sunlight with a golden hue, you will get the pictures of all the pilgrims entering if you go there. So I remember it was a very impactful moment for me. I've never been a spiritual person at an early age, but it just transformed me. And the pain of it, Nupur, because I don't know how people walk now, but I walk barefoot, and they had a pneumatic camera. You almost 15 kilos you are carrying, and you're barefoot. So I had full on blisters going up, and I asked myself, "Ki main wapas kaise jaunga?" Because you have to. So the physical endurance, the moment, the impact, the story, it just stayed with me. And then Nupur, I got very very emotionally vested in the Shani Shignapur story and the Haji Ali story. And when these women came, I said, wow, they are so brave. And I said, in my whole life, you see, what happened was that I kept doing political journalism and we never picked up gender issues. So I didn't have contempt for it, but I didn't have empathy for it either. But when I started doing Nirbhaya, you see, life mein kya hota hai, Nupur? One, I was never into gender issues, but Nirbhaya impacted me. Haji Ali Shrine, the fight impacted me. Zina Chaukat Ali, I got to know her closely. And so I felt that why should the same law not apply to everyone? So I am a great believer in a uniform civil code. So it
But
is
are you willing
my
to?
argument is that if we are to have a uniform civil code in this country, we must believe that at some point, both for Hindus and Muslims and people from any religion, you will have to step back into the constitutionality of issues, rather than personal beliefs. So we must prepare this country for a uniform civil code. It is your and my responsibility to fight for a uniform civil code very soon. So in order to do that, we must set the right precedent. And Sabrimala, my position is based, therefore, aimed at an amalgam of all of these issues. I have nothing against it. I want to tell you, I've been to Sabrimala when I was a child. I remember my father took me when I was 11, 12 years old. We went to the Padmanabhan shrine. I've been to we did a whole spiritual journey of all Guruvayur se leke Padmanabhan temple, all South Indian shrines we have gone. So I have great respect for them. But on this issue, there is a difference of opinion.
I do differ with you, sir, because the traditional view is something completely different. However, my question is, would you, on any issue, let's forget Sabrimala for a moment, but on any issue, if you have taken a position, are you the kind of person who's open to changing your position if, contrary to your position, the facts are laid out to you and you are convinced that the position you take was indeed incorrect?
Okay, so let me answer the question in terms of. So largely, I don't think I'm wrong. Like Kangana Ranaut said, 99% of people in Bollywood, have had drugs. And if they have not had drugs, then why are 99% of them quiet on this? Why are they not talking and taking on Kangana? Let them take her to court, which means there's an essential truth in this. So I go by the principle of essential truth. Essentially, I deliberate on issues, Nupur. I am not just taking up issues. First is, Nupur, I want to tell you, and I want to, through you, tell all the people watching the program that, believe me, I am telling you, I have no personal interest. I have no personal interest. I have no personal interest. I have nothing to gain or to lose. Okay, so that's one thing. So when there is no personal interest, I think you generally take a right decision on things. The second is that, you see, if I am being told by the cook for Sushant that the body is tilted when it is found, if tomorrow people tell me it was normal, if an autopsy report says it's normal, if CBI says it's normal, I will still not believe it. Your answer is that are you willing to be proven wrong? I'm unwilling. If I have facts on my side, you can get any court in the country. I'm not obliged to. You see, now in this case, we have the ligature mark on Sushant. I'm going about Sushant because it's my immediate memory. This is the question now. People are saying, you framed your position on Sushant. Are you willing to change your opinion? No, I'm not, because the ligature mark on Sushant raises questions on whether it's an ante-mortem hanging and a post-mortem suspension. Right? And now the people have said, why are you questioning Sandeep Singh? CBI has not called him. Are you wrong? No, I'm not wrong. He's giving a thumbs up sign to police at Cooper Hospital. If you've lost your best friend, you don't behave in that calculated manner with a police force. So, like they say in law, criminal law, circumstantial evidence matters. So I go by that. I don't believe that Nupur Sunanda committed suicide. I still believe it is murder. I believe it is murder. I am sure at some point of time the truth will come. So am I open because of external factors telling me that we have it on record and we'll put it with the stamp of investigating agencies or courts, that you will have to go out, we'll drag you and we'll tell you will have to apologize? I will not apologize. So I want to tell all the people who are trying for the last few days, I'm not going to change my view, because largely I think what I'm doing has been good. Nupur, what I have done, gut feel, instinct, has been good. We forced the government to change its position on Pakistan after 26/11. So was I wrong in my approach to journalism? No. If I have self-doubt, the day I have self-doubt, I will leave this profession, Nupur. I'm not in this profession for no malice, no motivation, no prejudice, nothing to hide. Then if I'm putting out, what is, now one last thing. What is a media trial about putting out WhatsApp chats that expose the ambitious mindset of Sushant before his death? I put out yesterday that there was a WhatsApp chat at 10:51 where Dipesh was telling somebody that Sushant is following up on a contract with a big e-commerce company. What is wrong with that? So if somebody tells me tomorrow that, oh, it's not legal proof, fine, it's not legal proof, but there is a court of public opinion in this country. People who watch me every day, people who hear me every day, TV is a transparent medium, Nupur. I may not be able to prove that I'm right always, legally and technically, but people who look at me in the eyes and who watch me every day know that presumably, perhaps at least here is a person who's convinced that he's right, and they will hear me. And I think a lot of people believe in what I'm saying and doing. Not me, when I'm saying me, I'm always referring to we, our team.
So that actually brings me to the other question. As the number one channel in English and Hindi, it is generally said that in journalism, I mean, I don't believe in it, but I would like to know what you think, that neutrality is an important ingredient to journalism. Now, I think no human being can possibly be neutral, and no journalist or media house has ever been neutral in India. So that's my personal view. But what do you think, as the number one channel in India today? What do you think about the ingredient of neutrality in journalism? Do you think it's essential?
No. You see, this neutrality is all, this talk about neutrality is bakwas. Let me tell you. Nobody is neutral. Not one of them is neutral. But I have the courage to say that I am not neutral. Simple. The problem is, using the facade of neutrality, they feel that they can put a moral pressure on us to change our view. Why? Because you say you are neutral. Arnab does not say he's neutral, so they are right and I would have to follow their line. Why should I follow their line? I'm not telling them to follow my line, but why do they expect that I will follow their line? Why? Who are they? What right do they have? What moral position do they have? What professional background do they have? What achievement do they have? What facts do they have? Do they work as hard as we do on our reports? Why are they obsessed about prying? Why do they have this self-congratulatory approach? Are Baba, understand, your castles are burnt. Your fortress has been broken into. You look at me in the eye. This is Arnab telling you, you are over, history, khatam. Okay? So please understand what I'm telling you. I'm not calling you penguins. But you have lost your Antarctica. Your glaciers are melting. Find another place to live. This country has rejected you because you lied. And this country will not follow your line anymore. You are nobodies. You get your friends, interview each other. It makes no impact. There has been a tectonic shift in the thinking of this country. Along with the change of thinking comes one fundamental belief that your lie about your being neutral has been totally busted the day you started praising Burhan Wani. The day Hafiz Saeed gave you a certificate, you were history. The day you did coquettish interviews. If you're interviewing Sharad Pawar, then why don't you ask Sharad Pawar about the Praful Patel's alleged links with Iqbal Mirchi? Hai guts? These people who give lectures, who are they? Who are they? Why did state broadcasters allow them to uplink material for free when the Congress was in power? Is it true or not? They got privileged access. See, Nupur, the day I write my book, everything will be out. But the problem with me is that till my last day, I will remain a professional journalist. So I can't write my book. But there are so many truths this country must know. You see, what neutrality? Your company is sinking, but you are profiteering. How come?
Right.
Where is the money coming from? I run a company, Nupur. Week to week, like you and I, like I do my house budget. We do our company budget. Your company budget is gone, but your life is continuing. Who's paying you? Who's paying you? You want to lecture me on neutrality? What neutrality? If they're a tukre gang, when they said Bharat tere tukre honge, inshallah, did they speak? Neutrality, they actually got Tahir Hussain to a secret spot and did an exclusive interview. They gave a platform to Afzal Guru. Some of them even interviewed Nirbhaya's rapists. And they said it is the freedom of expression to interview the rapist. Why? Because Nirbhaya was not from your family or from any family that you know, you don't empathize. Did you ask Nirbhaya's mother what she feels when you do these soft interviews? They want to give us lectures on neutrality. My neutrality is in my heart. That I will never hurt a person who is weak. And I will never do a story to gain. Personally, when I say meme, we, Republic, the ethos that we have, I don't believe in neutrality. I have said it clearly. And some Wikipedia conference called me. They'll never regret it. I went to a Wikipedia conference and I said, कि मेरे को तो neutrality नहीं करना है. Now Wikipedia also you have exposed, Nupur. Everybody knows your interview what bias they have. See this neutrality issue. I appeal to young journalists in this country. Never be neutral. The neutrality is, as I said, it is a camouflage, a veneer, a mask, a shroud that you wear because you don't have the courage to stand up for what is right. They don't have the courage to. They look at themselves as keepers of the faith. They say Congress party may have gone, but जहाँ पे कांग्रेस की सरकार है ना, जो भी करे बचा के रखो. हमारी 2 सरकारें बाकी है, हमारी 3 सरकारें बाकी है. सवाल मैं पूछना चाहता हूँ. I'm not asking a question, but is it true that a political party pays money to journalists or used to when its treasuries were full? I'm not naming a party, so Congress relax. So I'm saying that they were journalists on the take. And I was shocked when I learned later that some journalists who were so much on the take, I'm not saying, even were given plots of land in Congress-ruled states. I'm not saying any specific party did, but it's accidental. Is it accidental? How come? How come? How come journalists lived beyond their means? How come journalists were given large plots of land? How come no journalist was investigated? How come those Please start by investigating the journalists who you prospered under your time. Journalists used to write to the culture ministry that please give us extraordinary permission to build 2 floors in my house. Why? Because it's near a heritage site. Why? Shame on these so-called journalists. So whenever previous governments had levers on these journalists, Nupur, so whenever at a phone call, you've done so many favors, there are so many wrongs, the phone call, you can kill a story or tell them to pick up a story. The problem is, Nupur, on you and me, they have no levers. They have no levers. We have freed ourselves of levers. Leverless journalism we are doing, which means also we can go against anyone at any point of time.
So, another question that I would personally like to ask is, you were hounded to the hilt after your coverage of the Palghar incident,
Yes,
where two sadhus were lynched. You
yes,
were questioned for hours after hours. Your CFO, who is an aged man, was questioned as well about your funding, about your sources of fund, and so on and so
yeah,
forth. What impact does an incident like that have on the team? I'm not going to talk about you, because I
yeah.
think you, uh,
Oh,
somewhere in
oh,
the back of your mind, I'm sure you knew that when you pick up certain issues, you are going to be hounded.
yeah,
For example, when the Bengal thing happened with me, I'm going to say that I was waiting for it to happen. I
yeah,
knew that at some point of time or the other, this,
correct.
this sort of a political, case is going to land up on my doorsteps. I'm sure you were prepared mentally and
Yes.
emotionally. What toll does it take on the team as far as covering issues is concerned? As in, does the team ever question, is
My,
it really worth it?
it's a team. I came through this because of my team. My people, they landed up at the police station. I told them, you go back. My people stood there, regardless of COVID. People were preparing. When I tell you, you feel so happy in life. I've been through. I'll tell you. Okay, so I'll not theorize on that. I've been through 13 hours of questioning. I started getting angry after 8:39 because I realized the IO was going and speaking to senior police officials. So
Yeah.
Parambir Singh, if you have the guts, come and face me. No, come and face me. I'm saying it clearly. I sent him a WhatsApp message that I know that your team, well, on the attack on me and my wife, who's a senior executive editor of our network, when there was attack on us, they botched up the investigation. Nupur, I sent a WhatsApp message to Parambir Singh that I'm knowing, and this is what you've done. He didn't have the courage to reply to me. But the point is, I remember finishing 13 hours of questioning. I came out, my team was there, I rushed, I came home. When I entered my flat, one of my best friends, a couple from of the next block, was standing outside to greet me, regardless of COVID. I had a shower, I went back, my family was there. And I entered the newsroom. My PCR was waiting at 11 o'clock. I fired up, and my producer said, yes, we'll queue. When they say queue, then it's a blood rush, and you know that nothing can defeat you in life. If I can, after 13 hours of that kind of interrogation, come out and anchor once again till midnight, then nothing can defeat me. What do they want to prove? They think you can break us? They can't break us. They cannot break us. I felt angry when Sundaram, who's my CFO, who's like an elder brother to me, what do I say, father figure? I felt angry, and Sundaram is such a calm guy, unruffled. He just put on a mask and he went. I said, Sundaram, it's not me. I'm angry that they are doing this to you. What have you done? He questioned Sundaram, where is Arnab getting the money from? Paisa kahan se aata hai? Arey, sharam karo, Uddhav Thackeray. We are not corrupt.
In
Should I start
retrospect,
asking,
do you
should I start
think,
asking the Maharashtra government what all they do? Do they not know the corruption of the BMC? But I felt bad when it is others, but the whole company, my fabric, my core team stood by me. And if that did not affect us, nothing else will. Nothing else will. Nothing can touch us. So, yeah, there is anger, but there is no tiredness. In fact, you wake up the next day feeling more, uh, feeling more pumped up to do something.
in retrospect, do you think you took it a little too far?
No,
Asking Sonia Gandhi, referring to
no,
her by her maiden name.
no,
Uh, do you think you went a little too far when you
no,
asked her why is she quiet on the case? Is it because
no.
it's a mandate from the church?
Why is Sonia Gandhi embarrassed to talk about her Italian origins? I'm asking you, Sonia Gandhi, you were born an Italian, and if the maiden name is Antonia Mino, then it's all right. Why would one be embarrassed about a maiden name? If someone were to call me by my nickname or my family name, which others don't know on television, I would find it interesting. But why is she embarrassed about the Italian origin? I'm not referring to Sonia Gandhi. I'm saying some people are behaving like Sicilian mafia. Why are you getting touchy about it? I will continue to. And why is the Shiv Sena protecting her on it? They don't need to protect her on it. They took me to court. And I'll tell you one thing, Nupur, and you can take this, you'll get another headline. You take me for defamation, Sonia, Antonia Mino. I will stand, you will have to sit in the witness box. You will have to sit in the witness box, and therefore, this is a straightforward challenge. You want to fight for defamation? Sit in the witness box. Don't make your police officers in Maharashtra question on defamation. I believe I have left the Palghar investigation halfway. I believe it's a job not done. Nupur, you and I should investigate it further. 28 people have got bail. The prosecution has been weakened. The Supreme Court is monitoring. We should get back on that story.
So this will not make you drop the Palghar case. You
No, no, no.
are going to
Palghar, in fact, I plan to pick up again. Palghar, we should pick up. The India Bull scam, we should pick up. We should find out which politicians, bureaucrats, or police officers are involved in India Bulls. We must expose and take these politicians, policemen, if any, to the cleaners. India Bulls is a big scam. So we need to look at it. We need to look at the Yes Bank scam. We need to look at everything in detail. So it's not going to make us slow down at all. In fact, there are many, many things on my plate which I've worked on. There are half investigations which, because of the disproportionate amount of time we've given to Sushant, are still pending. You will see them come out after this is done.
So I want to ask you one question from my end, because this is my project which I have been pursuing very diligently. Will you be picking up the case of the Delhi riots, which was
Yes.
picked up by the liberal mafia,
Yeah,
and on almost a global, international scale,
yeah,
India and specifically Hindus were shamed
yeah,
when the genesis of the riot was anti-Hindu and not anti-Muslim. Is this
yeah.
what is that you will pick up in the future? Because it's not over, and there has to be some logical conclusion and some logical end to a case which was picked up to shame Hindus globally.
I will tell you one thing. Bloomsbury should apologize to the people of India. And Bloomsbury should not be allowed to publish or distribute their books in India. Because if we are the largest democracy in the country, then why did Bloomsbury pull back the Delhi Riots 2020 book? Why? Because, because it was written by Monica Arora and people who do not have their ideological leaning. Okay, so if there is an expose on the Delhi riots, and if the Delhi riots happen to create trouble during Trump's visit, right, then it is something that should be known, that the world should know. Tomorrow, if there was an expose that was to be done of a riot-like situation, which has happened many times in America, would Bloomsbury do the same thing in America? So I have very strong views about it, and if somebody is doing a launch of a book with people from a political party or any party, I see absolutely no reason to withdraw the book. It is an excuse. So one, yes, the Delhi riots issue has to be picked up. The Delhi riots were completely falsified as an anti-Muslim pogrom. It was not. Your research has shown that. I think you've done some terrific work. We must speak truth on it. And if we have freedom of expression in this country, and if these people have any responsibility towards freedom of expression in this country, then this is not criticism that they are doing. This is a complete attack on the freedom of expression. So we must bring this book back on the shelves, right? And if Bloomsbury does not bring this book back on the shelves, then Bloomsbury should leave India. And it should be a message to all these publishers, because you think, and I'll tell you one thing, Nupur, the next cabal we have to break is the cabal of these publishers. And I'm saying, you want to publish anti-India material, you think you'll be free in India, that should be banned. Anything that hurts national interest should be banned, and anything that misrepresents the truth should be banned. In fact, I think it is trying to provoke another riot by doing it. Because if you're trying to deny the fact that this was not a this was a pogrom with state sponsored support, and if that is exposed and you find that people from another side are after have caused the riots, then you should speak about it. You should your narrative building failed. It was part of a narrative. Please understand, they had carefully constructed, and I have read this through and through. Way when Jamia happened, please see the response of a section of the media to what happened in Jamia. It was orchestrated, well planned. The violence was planned. The violence was planned, and the media coverage of the violence was also planned. The Molotov cocktails were hidden. The library was made into a temple, which was broken into by a police mob. The narrative was built and constructed very well. 14th of December, 14th of December, when 14th or 15th of December, Nupur, let me tell you, when Delhi was burning, when Uttar Pradesh was burning, I was in Banaras. I had gone
15th of December.
15th of December for 2 days. You remember the dates better. For 2 days, I was in Banaras. I wanted to visit all the ghats. I was on a personal trip there. And I remember I was on one road, the ghat where the bodies are burnt. I came from there and then I took a boat and I went to, I think, Dashavamed Ghat, and then I wanted to see the Aarti in the evening. So I was on a boat. And the guy who dropped me at the boat said, "Sir, I can't take the car out from here because the lane you've just come from, idhar danga ho gaya." And I have been back on that road the next day, and the people there have told me that the dangais were orchestrated. So in Banaras, in a minority-dominated lane, the people living there were not doing the riots. They were brought in to create the riot in a minority-dominated area. So it was an attempt, to polarize Hindus versus Muslims. It was a determined attempt, Nupur. And all this whole Bollywood crowd that supported it must also be exposed. It was so well planned. It was, I'll tell you what it was. It was the last straw for them. That the verdict of the Supreme Court on Ayodhya happened.
Yeah.
That they could not put false charges against the Chief Justice, that the lobby failed in court, and there was no violence on 9th of November, I think, when the Ayodhya verdict happened. That OAC could not provoke the Muslims. The Muslims and the Hindus both accepted it. That life was normal. Shaheen Bagh was a response to the peace after Ayodhya. The only way was to try and polarize and get people out on the streets, and they have tried to do the same thing in Bangalore, where again these people were quiet. You must write another book and do the research on the Bengaluru riots, because the Bengaluru riots, the pattern was the same. Only here, the mask of a protest has also gone off. There they put on the mask of a protest. Here it's straight. Go to the streets, burn the police station, jala. And you think that the Muslims of this country will support you? They will not. They will not. Tell me one thing, Nupur. Did the Muslims of India support the Bengaluru riots? No. Do the Muslims of India support SDPI, PFI en masse? No. I keep ridiculing that man, Taslim Rahmani. He speaks such venom on our programs, no? Last time he came, I insulted him outside my studio. I said, "Taslim ji, itna chillaya, itna bola, kitne vote aaye? Ghar ghar jaate ho, you speak against communities, you want to provoke a riot, aapko 200 vote bhi nahi mile, aapke parivar walon ne bhi aapko vote nahi kiya." You should embarrass these people, Nupur. You should expose them. I wish you well. Please do a book on the Delhi riots, and you do another book on the Bengaluru riots. I will pick it up. So my plate is full of issues, and when I'm doing these issues, I don't care about the Hindu versus Muslim divide here. Let me also tell you that I'm talking about what is right. I'm talking about what is right and what is wrong. Delhi riots, it was orchestrated. You've seen the pictures, no?
It's because of issues that there was a campaign. I won't talk about OpIndia, but there was also, before OpIndia, there was a campaign against Republic, that the companies who advertise on Republic should pull out, if you recall.
And the people who publish these articles, I want to know their funding. I want to know the people who publish these articles. I want to know whether anybody connected to George Soros or particular families is funding you. I want to know the funding of these people who launder the news. I want to know that if these people keep asking that we have no money, I want to know what salaries do they pay themselves. I want to know whether a particular Iranian American investor with profound ideological bias against nationalist spirit in India is funding you. I want to know why the government of India is allowing you to be funded by these people. I also want to know that if people close to you are accused of money laundering charges, why don't you report on it? Why don't you? Is it true that some of you have family members who have been accused of money laundering? Why is it not a headline on your website? Who are these people, Nopur? These people have no legs to stand on. These people are people without any experience in journalism. They say we've done journalism. Are tell me one thing. Is doing puppet shows journalism? I'm not naming any people. If you have done puppet shows, is it journalism? You want to lecture people. You've done puppet shows. So come on, let's be very clear about it. I think black out these people. These people are regardless, they don't matter.
But has it hurt Republic? Is what I'm
No, of
trying to
course
ask.
not. Of course not. It strengthens us. Of course not. You know,
Has it hurt Republic
no.
financially?
Oh no, no, no. And if anybody tries to cross the line with me, Nopur, I will also take them to every single court in this country. I am also watching. Some of them are trying to shoot off the shoulders of other media organizations, quote them and say the story is not ours, but a website which was launched 2 weeks back by an unknown person has said something about you and allegedly laga ke, they think they can publish stories. One more line they cross, one more line, I will take them to the cleaners if they try to attack our integrity and our reputation. Because the country's highest courts have said, I will have said in judgments that all that was spoken about us is wrong. I went to Supreme Court. I went to High Court. Harish Salve appeared for us. We won. So if anybody tries to cross the line, we are not going to take it lying down. We will, as they say, give it back to them and how. And I'm telling you, it's going to happen. If they cross one more line with Republic or with me, when we have worked so hard to build this organization, we will not spare them.
So last three questions, because I know I've exceeded my time and I think you're looking at the
I don't
clock
know if
on your.
your viewers are still interested or we are just having this, you
Oh,
know.
no, no, of course they're interested. So there is this theory that is applied to not just Republic, but OpIndia, even Times now in part, that nationalism is essentially the flavor of the Times. And the nationalist line is being towed because of possibly because of certain kind of opportunism, where journalists think that towing the nationalist line would get them access, would get them opportunities, would get them um, favors with the ruling government, etc. Or because it's a game of TRP, that we toe this line of nationalism because it ends up giving a channel TRP, and it ends up getting people to watch the channel because you are creating a bubble of nationalism where real issues are being sidelined. So what are your views on not just nationalism, but that undertone of nationalism being the bedrock of journalism?
Well, nationalism, you can go back to the 16th century, 15th century to understand nationalism. Uh, for me, nationalism is service to the country and keeping nation first. It's not a flavor of the season. I think basically what has happened is that the emergence of nationalism in media and in politics has made some people very insecure. So, because you cannot do India, Pakistan, Aman Ki Asha kind of stuff anymore. You can't get funding for NGOs. Many journalists on the side used to run NGOs. They used to get some money from sources, dubious sources. You can't do that anymore. You are being put to question. And so your uh, nationalism for me is what does it say? It says that you must have loyalty to your nation. You must have allegiance to your nation. And you must take on anybody who questions you, anything that threatens your country's sovereignty. That while this country has many languages, different histories in different regions, uh, uh, at the core, what binds us is nationalism. Nationalism is both political and cultural. Okay, there is political nationalism and there is cultural nationalism. Cultural nationalism, which means you are basically saying that everything which is the culture of my country, I will do everything possible that the positives in the culture of my country, I will work for them. I will espouse their cause. I will not say that being proud of the culture of this country makes you a right winger. It makes you an India winger. That is cultural nationalism. Political nationalism says that at the core of all political parties must be the treaties that you believe in the nation, nation first. Now, tell me, Nupur, why would anyone find nationalism a constraint? Nationalism liberates, it binds us all to a larger cause, the service of the nation. But it does not allow you to do deals with Iqbal Mirchi. It does not allow you to do deals with Dawood. It does not allow a politician to do deals with Dawood. It does not allow large scale corruption in this country. Because that goes against the spirit of service to the nation. So the only binding of nationalism is that it acts as some kind of a moral axiom, moral axiom in this country, right? Now, who does not want a moral axiom? Those who are immoral, right? For me, it invigorates me every day. Nupur, it is my larger cause. The day I die, I want to say in my last that I was born in this country, and hence there was a larger purpose which we served. So the issue is that nationalism should be a binding force. The bottom line is that if anybody says today nationalism is the flavor of the season, they have a very narrow view of it. And we must not be answerable to these people. Okay, Nupur. So everything that we have done, consciously or unconsciously, I believe has been good for the country. The way we questioned Pakistan after 26/11 changed the direction. It was nationalism. Even the fight against corruption was nationalism. Uh, Even Nirbhaya, in a way, was nationalism. Uh, and anything that destroys boundaries of caste and religion to put together a larger whole is nationalism. So I think it's something that I'm proud of. And I don't believe in these classical discussions. What is the difference between patriotism and nationalism and stuff like that? It doesn't matter. The other question was that, do you respect the nationalism of others? I'm not obliged to. The core of nationalism means that I am not here to fight for the nationalism of Palestinians in the Gaza Strip or Kurds in Turkey. The core of nationalism is that I'm going to speak about Indian nationalism for me. Right? So I think that is the way I look at it.
But they're saying that their nationalism might be of a different brand, but it is nationalism nonetheless. For them, supporting Shaheen Bagh is nationalism. For them, supporting the freedom of so called students of JNU and Jamia is nationalism. So, how and what makes you the authority essentially to say that your nationalism is acceptable and their nationalism is not acceptable?
Okay, so when if I were to today say that I believe in my version of nationalism and I'll start blocking every road, I will create violence, I'll create a riot because I need to enforce my views of nationalism, and this is my way of protesting. The constitution has given me this right to protest. Will they agree? Tomorrow, if you and I go and block all the roads and through which people enter JNU, and you say you can't enter, will they agree? They'll say no, it's a suppression of their individual freedom. So I think if you want to have a discussion on the Citizenship Amendment Act, have it in the right forums, but don't start the street violence. The street violence is not democratic, and while you can have meetings, you cannot do it at the cost of somebody else. Then what you're basically doing is that you're taking your protest up to a point where you want to provoke. Then you're also responsible, therefore, for a reaction, and you are not responsible for the consequences. So I have no problem if people question the Citizenship Amendment Act. I also did when it started, but I think none of us have the right to spark violence over such issues, or to create an atmosphere in which you spark violence. The second is of a manufactured narrative outside. If you put out a manufactured narrative about the Citizenship Amendment Act outside, which is not true, then you should not be joyous that it got published. You should be embarrassed that it got published. So, are you ready for the counter view? You are not. You're not ready for the counter view. You're not willing to. If the people who oppose you use the same tactics that you do, right? So then you are not applying a level playing field to others. And thirdly, at some point we have to think, we don't want to push this country into a cauldron of violence, which is what they did. If these are the same people who say there should be respect for institutions, what respect do they have for institutions? If the Supreme Court says something against the CA, it will be implemented. No, but then have respect for the Supreme Court.
So, what got you to change your mind about CAA?
I didn't change my mind about CA. I questioned the tactics. I forever said one thing, that these people who were protesting about CAA, where were those people when my state was taken over by Bangladeshi infiltrators? I am from Assam, and along the banks of the Brahmaputra, there are the shore areas which have been taken over. And, you know, since Hiteshwar Saikya's time, last 25 years, Assam has been taken over by Bangladeshi infiltrators. So how is it that the same people who are now saying that if a few hundred Bangladeshi Hindus enter Assam or enter Bengal, that the demography will be upset? Why were you not speaking when millions of Bangladeshi infiltrators entered Bengal and entered Assam? Because the vote banks were serving people who you were comfortable with. So I was always forever from the start talking about the hypocrisy of this,
No, but
of the people who are
but
suddenly made foreign infiltration into Assam into a big issue. Where was Yogendra Yadav and all these people in OSC when there was foreign infiltration into Assam for 25 years? Why did they not speak? In fact, some of these people went and addressed rallies asking illegal infiltrators to vote for them. So I was exposing the hypocrisy of it. The second part, I got uncomfortable after the Jamia incident. I said that now these people want to do drama. They want violence. And they're using sections of the media to push that.
no, also I think initially it was about the clause 6 of Assam. And once that point was clarified by the government, that as far as the state of Assam is concerned, clause 6 is going to be respected. There
Yeah.
was no other, legitimate question that could have been raised against the CAA.
Yeah, but where was there an informed discussion on CA either? How many of the people who are talking about CAA have actually read what Clause 6 of the Assam Accord actually means? What does Clause 6 of the Assam Accord actually mean? This provision has been there, and this provision has been controversial for a long period of time. How many of the people have actually read Clause 6, which have said, what does Clause 6 say? Clause 6, and there are groups which have studied this and are implementing it. It is saying we will put all kind of constitutional safeguards to protect the cultural and linguistic identity of the people of Assam. Right? So the whole thing was the cultural and linguistic identity of the people of Assam. And clause 6 was inserted. Why? It was inserted to protect the culture of the indigenous people of Assam. Now, how many people even know about this? Where were there informed debates on clause 6? I'm happy you're asking me this question. Where is single informed debate on clause 6? These people like Anurag Kashyap and others who go to Shaheen Bagh and they say ki, ye karo, sarko pe aa jao, this, that. How many people of them have asked them, do you know the issues that you are talking about? No. You are only using CA to divide and polarize Muslims. So that was the unfortunate part of it. And I truly believe that nationalism binds all Hindus and Muslims. That's why they are insecure about nationalism as a premise and as a thought.
So my last question before I ask you for two messages. You broke away in one can say that you broke away from the NBF and you opened the NBC, and you spearheaded NBF. What was the purpose behind it? When already there is an organization called the MBC which exists, what was the void that NBF was trying to fulfill, and what was its objective supposed to be?
NBA is a club of people in Delhi, and there are channels. They formed a club out there, 5 6 channels, and they claim to represent Indian media. They don't. I disagreed with them, and they are trying to use NBA to push a particular corporate interest. They are trying to use the News Broadcaster Association to say we represent the people of India. How can 5 channels, some of them like NDTV, who nobody watches, claim to represent the people of India? So the purpose of building NBF was to build an organization in which channels from all languages broadcasting in this country can become equal members. It's not a Lutyens club. So what was the purpose? To break the Lutyens club and to say that there is media outside Delhi. And I think we've been very successful in doing that. So we've got people from all channels, the Pudiya Talamurai in Tamil Nadu, News Live in Assam, right? These are channels which need a say at a national level. And NBF has been aimed at giving them a voice in an India where today slowly media will have to grow outside of Delhi. So we are working hard towards that, and it's growing. A lot of people have joined. So it's been good. And I think in the coming year, we will do a large event in Delhi also after COVID is over, where we'll invite a cross section of the media to debate the new media in India.
Do you have plans to spearhead something similar for digital media? Because Republic is also quite big in the digital space.
Yeah.
Do you have plans
Yeah,
not
sure.
just for broadcasting but also digital media?
Yeah, I appeal to everybody not to allow 5 or 6 prejudiced, malicious, constantly lying digital media outlets to claim to be the voice of the digital media in this country. These people are not transparent about their funding. They are not transparent about their modes of revenue. We don't know who funds them. We don't know how their operations are going on. We don't know if there are foreign interests. Some of these people even have foreign citizens editing the organization, and this injustice must stop. These people must be sidelined. We need an emergence of a nationalist Indian digital media. I would very much want to work with you and other digital players towards creating this, because we all need to come together. Nupur, we need to counter people who are trying to use digital media to work against national interest, because investment in digital media platforms is less than launching a channel. So, you can, for a few lakh rupees, start a digital media outfit and then use it for whatever purpose, and then use biases in open source platforms and in social media. Social media is also biased, and then they push a particular narrative. We must fight it. So yeah, let's do it, Nupur. Let's do it.
But
Let's do it
for that,
quickly.
you'll
Let's
have to
bring
come on
people
Twitter.
together and create a platform.
But for that, you'll have to come on Twitter, sir.
Yeah, I will not. Twitter, I can't come. Twitter is too much two-way expectation, Nupur. Too much. When my number gets published, public, I have too many WhatsApp messages which come, and I get exhausted trying to reply to all of them, and I can't even reply on WhatsApp. So how am I going to reply on Twitter?
So you finally decided that you're not going to be on Twitter.
No, I'm not. Last time there was a previous Twitter head, the guy before Jack Dorsey or whatever his name is, and who came to met me in my office, global head, and he told me to come on Twitter and all. I said I can't do it because I can't communicate with so many people. Got to do my work. Oh. No?
Okay. So your last message for two kinds of people. One, budding journalists. What would your message to them be? And two, the Lutyens media, who you have been fighting almost single-handedly. What is your message to them?
Okay. For Lutyens media first, because let's deal with the negativity first. You have been defeated by the people of India. You don't matter. Now, all of you go into your little holes and congratulate each other. Good for you. But the fact is, the sooner a dinosaur realizes that their time is over, right, they will find a place to go into a swamp so that millions of years from now, your bones will be preserved. So, to Lutyens media, my message is, please find your respective swamp. Whether you are a brontosaurus or you are some other kind of dinosaur, you need to find the place where you will hide because your time is come. For and the second message to them is that you wasted all your time for the last 15 years fighting me. I ignored you, we ignored you, we built India's largest news network. Okay, so go jump. It's time now for the budding journalists in this country. Three things. One, focus on the basics: reporting, anchoring, production, digital media, graphics, whatever your expertise is in content. Please work on your craft. Don't waste time getting into Twitter conversations and Twitter battles and Facebook battles and being part of it. It takes away a lot of bandwidth. Please preserve your bandwidth. If you're young, you're getting into media, work on your craft, improve your style of writing, uh, learn how to sub edit a story, learn how to write a story, learn how to narrate a story, learn how to build your sources. That is what essentially this profession is about. I am really concerned, really, really concerned that today, in the eagerness to be heard, the initial years, the first 5, 10 years of every journalist go into desperately trying to find a foothold in social media. It will not take you anywhere. In fact, many journalistic careers have been completely destroyed because of people's preoccupation with social media. So please work on your craft. And please understand that when we started, we had time to do that. And hence, some of the skills that we picked up in the early years stands us good ground even now. How do you sub-edit a story? How do you write a story? How do you make pages? How do you decide the order of the news? How do you edit a story? How do you begin an edit? How do you close an edit? See, this is your craft. Eventually, you are going to tell stories all your life. So please understand how stories need to be told. This is so important, Nupur, that journalists must do that. And this must be an integral. How do you get into your zone where you are not distracted? That is one thing. And second important thing is, a lot of journalism is not facing the camera. A lot of journalism is behind the camera, digital or television. So please respect that and look at those job opportunities as well, because in the future, it's not necessary that only the anchor or the camera facing reporter is going to be leading organizations. This is some practical advice. I hope it is useful for everyone, watching your interview.
So I'm just going to show you one comment because it works well for me. Okay, sir, you will never come on Twitter, but please 1 month में एक बार open fans के लिए YouTube पर या Facebook पर live आना जाना, please, for us 5
ये
minutes.
हम सोच रहे हैं कि हम क्या करेंगे. So my answer is that I am thinking that as often as possible on Republic World, we will get into these interactions, and maybe I will do it.
Done. Thank you so much, sir, for giving me
Thank you.
almost close to 2 hours when
Yeah.
I had just convinced you for an hour. Thank you
It's
so
an
much.
absolute pleasure. Please keep doing the good work that you are doing. And
Thank you.
I hope your time has been worth it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
Good
you,
luck.
Nupur. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir.